everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog, and I'm here with my special guest star, Hunter from Shelf by Shelf on Instagram, and we're talking the National Book Awards. Welcome back, Hunter.
Thank you for having me again. I was worried I scared you the first time.
No, everyone loved having you, and I got so many very nice compliments about having you on my channel, so clearly I need to make it a more regular thing.
I'm always here for it. I'm ready. This is me anxiously voguing. This is fine. Anyway.
Hey, the National Book Awards seem like a voguing type event to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like Lisa Lucas would be a voguer? Like she
absolutely
would be into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want her to be my best friend, but that's a story for another video. So it is almost time for the National Book Award to announce its winner. I believe it's Wednesday night, correct?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Because I believe that Obama's memoir gets released tomorrow.
That's right. And didn't they move it because of that?
And they moved it one day so that they wouldn't compete with that. And then the Booker moved theirs to Thursday. So we get Obama's memoir, National Book Award winner, and Booker Prize winner, all within 3 days of each other.
Okay. I have to very quickly say something that I don't know if I'm allowed, like, the Crown, the publisher for Obama's book, maybe it's not that, but like that big of a deal, but I got the book in today and I feel like I'm going to get arrested. And so it's hiding in my bathroom because I don't want anyone to find it.
Well, that book is under tight lock and key.
So. Yes. Okay. I don't have it. It's a lie. It's fine because once this video goes live, it'll be out, right?
Yes, the video will go live tomorrow, so no one will know except you told them.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, so I thought what we would do is we would, of course, talk about the 5 books that made the short list, but it's always sort of fun to start with that one book we're sad that didn't make it from the long list. Now, a couple years ago, I was devastated when Heads of the Colored People didn't make the short list. So there's always that one book you're hoping for every year. Last year it was The Nickel Boys for me. I couldn't believe it didn't make the short list. So what was that book that you thought, gosh, I really wanted to be on the short list and it didn't make it?
Honestly, like The Great Offshore Grounds to me was like just such like an epic like book. Like it's one of those that I still keep thinking about, and I'm so surprised that certain ones made it over that. But
I am too. For me too, this was the book when I finished it, I was like, this was one of my best reads of 2020.
Yeah.
And compared to some of the other stuff that made the short list, which they're all really good. I don't think I would say any of them are horrible, but I just was like, gosh, that one just made me all the feels.
Yeah.
So we should plug this one and be like, people, it didn't make the short list, but please read The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veselka. So
it's a gorgeous cover too.
Oh my God, it's the most beautiful cover.
Yeah.
And it's got this like family saga part to it, and it's got this amazing sisterhood angle and lost parents and also Alaska crab fishing. So it's just like, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I honestly feel like that one could possibly end up being a finalist for the Pulitzer.
I do too. I have to say, Hunter, I don't know if you feel this way. For all that 2020 has given us that's not been that enjoyable, there have been some amazing books this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the Pulitzer is going to do it. I don't.
I mean, I will say very quickly, I do think my 3 current guesses are probably The Great Offshore Grounds, How Much of These Hills is Gold, and Real Life. Those are my current 3.
Yeah. I'm there with most of those, though. I would throw in Memorial by Bryan Washington.
Yeah, I love that one. Like, honestly, like that is one of my favorite books this year, but it's been getting such mixed reviews from people.
I know. So I will say that I'm only halfway through it. I just started it this weekend and I am loving it. Yeah. So I'll reserve my final critique until I'm done. but I find it brilliant so far. So unless it turns like real sideways on me. So yeah, I don't know. The Pulitzer always surprises me. Some years they go to and they award it to someone who's never won it that they think should have. Sometimes they pick someone fresh and new. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. So, but we should talk about the National Book Award shortlist. We should do that. So what Hunter and I are going to do, we're going to talk about the 5 books in alphabetical order by author's last name. We're just going to do a quick summary of what the books are about and then sort of give you our feelings about it. And at the end, we're going to put each other on the spot and we're going to have to pick the one we want to win and the one we think could win. And we'll go from there. How's that sound, Hunter? Are you up for it?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so the first book is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. This is out from Ecco. And so my friend Ryan says, as a reviewer of this book, the best thing you could say is say very little, because going into it blind is the best thing about it. So I just say it's about a white couple and their children that rent a house up in the sort of northeastern part or northwestern part of New York, I think. They're there for the weekend in an Airbnb. And one night, 2 people show up. This older Black couple saying they are the owners and that New York is shut down. Is that enough?
I think, listen, I don't even tell people anything. So that's funny.
How did you feel about Leave the World Behind?
I read the book in one sitting, in the bathtub actually, and some of
my best reading.
It was so like, listen, it has been so long since I've been able to finish a book in one sitting like that, and I don't know, like, I mean, I know that it's like, I don't know, I love, it was the perfect kind of book for me. That's all I can say, really. It's the perfect kind of book for me.
Well, what I thought was really interesting about it is it sort of has, in a way, sort of this build up. Like there's this sort of thriller aspect to it. But at the same time, it does an amazing job of also being like a social commentary on race and class and motherhood and fatherhood. And all of that in such a slim little book is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think also, I won't give anything away, but I do think people either loved it for its ambiguity or they hated it for that same reason.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have read or had some friends who have read it and felt like it was trying to be too clever. And I personally thought it was just clever enough. So to me, it's a fine line, but I was a fan. I was a huge fan of this book. So that's Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. Okay, so probably the most talked about book on the short list is because it's everywhere, because it's on the short list for the Booker and the short list here is Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stuart. And I just realized that I alphabetized this by Shuggie Bain and not Douglas Stuart. So that goes to tell you. How do you describe this plot? It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, I don't know. It's a book about sad people being sad.
It's set in Scotland, and it's really the story of a mother and son, and the mother is an alcoholic. She's treated poorly by a number of men in her life, and it just drives her to her addiction. And it's really about her lack of ability to overcome that and sort of how it affects her children, right?
Yeah.
How did this book make you feel when you walked away with it, with all its buzz? That, I think, is sort of, for me, hinders Shuggie Bain because it has such hype.
So this will probably say too much about me as a person, but there's like 3 or 4 people who I don't really like as people who loved it. And I was like, and so I went in being like, oh, they like this book, so I'm not going to. And then I don't know. I guess that I don't know. Like I liked it, but I think that I had so much bias going into it that I just I was never going to love it anyway. And also, yeah, I think that people have been saying this is like the book of the year. Like everyone wants it to win. It's like the favorite to win, and I think it's I don't think it's bad at all, but it's just not. I don't know. I'm not, like I guess it's like it's not even an underdog anymore. Like it's just like it's
Yeah.
just full force, and I don't really like. I'm
Yeah.
just a bitter cow, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Douglas Stewart does a phenomenal job of writing about this relationship between this mother and son. He creates a very real world between the two of them. Um, and he does, like, there's nothing that keeps you from falling into the story. Like, his prose is very nice, his atmosphere as well. But I've said this, and I got a lot of flack for saying this before, so I will continue to get flack. I do believe it's a story we've heard before.
Yeah.
I don't know that the story itself is that original. And I felt that for it being set in Glasgow, I wanted it to be more present there. Like, it was there. Like, I understood that, you know, there was the mine strikes and the closing down of the mines and everything that was going on, but it seemed a little bit too periphery for me. And so I just wanted a little bit more. It's a fantastic book. If you like a family drama,
Yeah.
this book, you're going to love this book.
I was about to say, it is a great book. It's just a great book that I think, it's a great book that I think that you just, I don't know, like, that's the problem. It's a great book, and I just, like, I don't know what to say except for, it's a great book. I'm a bitter cow. What more do you want?
It just needed a little bit more. I think it just needed a little bit more to wow us. I think when I think of a book that wins an award, I'm always like, I want it to do something different.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this book did anything different. It's a great book. I think lots of people will love it. So, okay, that is Douglas Stewart's Shuggie Bain, completely out of alphabetical order because Russell doesn't know his alphabet. So there you go. There you go. I think we both can rave about this short story collection, The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, by Deeshaw, Philyaw, and I always worry I say her name wrong, so I'm gonna hold it up there for you. I love that this is for West Virginia Press, which is University Press, which is like so tiny. Yeah. But this was a power pack of a little short story collection.
There's the one story that really got me was Peach Cobbler.
Yeah.
Like, which all the stories are good, but that was just the one where I was like, oh yeah, I was like, this is, and I think that what I really appreciated the most about it too is that it never felt like, you know how a lot of times like debuts, it feels like someone's trying to like show you all their best tricks at once. Yes. It felt like so like, I don't know. I just felt like I felt like she wasn't like trying too hard to like prove anything with the prose, and it just it spoke for itself, and I really appreciated that.
And yeah, she had sort of a measured quality to her. Like, she knew what words to use without being like superfluous.
Yeah.
I also thought, I mean, I couldn't tell you that many books that I've read that dealt with different queer women relationships and stuff in the South, or, you know, affected by the South. And I thought she did a wonderful job of like setting such a sense of reality within that dynamic.
Yeah.
It was beautifully done.
Yeah. It's one of those that I'm sure I will think about it for a long time. Like, and it's every single story to me too was just so, each one was so different, and so while also like carrying the theme through. Yeah. I don't know. I was just so impressed by it, and I feel like it's one of those like those that I'm glad it got this kind of attention, because otherwise I don't know if people would have picked it up.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that the National Book Award does often, is it will put like a little known book into the zeitgeist, and it will like just throw it. And I'm glad that she will probably get more attention moving forward. Yeah. There was this story, Snowfall, about the couple that moved from the South to New York, and how one was dealing with homesickness and all that. I bawled my eyes out at the end of that story. I thought it was so touching and so beautiful. If I were teaching short stories, I would teach that one. Though I do think Peach Cobbler is sort of the one that stands out in this book as the big masterpiece. But that story just ripped my heart out. Yeah. So that's The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deeshaw, Philyaw, and this is out from West Virginia University Press. And I follow her now on Twitter. Do you do this? She's great.
Oh
I
yeah.
really like her. She's fantastic. So I'm going to ask you to summarize this next book because I still struggle, even though I've read it. And that is A Children's Bible by Lydia Millet. I'm not sure what to call this book at times.
I guess it's to me it feels like similar. The way I describe it feels very similar to how I describe Leave the World Behind, which is that it's about a family who goes on vacation, right? And things just fall apart.
Yeah. So it's sort of like all these families that go on vacation and they rent this huge house, and our narrator is like one of the children, and this huge story. So you guys, I'm gonna apologize about the video. I just got a alert on my phone because of COVID and are moving into another tier. So you're gonna see that in the middle of this video. There's nothing I can do about it. I apologize. We're talking about A Children's Bible by Lydia Millet. It's like it was an allegory, a biblical allegory about climate change and how that action affected, right? It just affected this group of people and their vacation. But of all of the books in the short list, this is the one I'm most surprised is here because I have the hardest time remembering it.
I don't know. Like, I remember it. You know what, though? I think that, did you read Sweet Lamb of Heaven, her last book?
No, but I've heard it's very good.
I loved that one. And I think that because I loved that one so much, I was kind of like zoned in whenever I was reading this one. Although I did read this one at like 4 a.m. I don't know why. But I think that like zooming in on it, reading it at 4 a.m. and just being like super alert reading it. I did like, it is kind of lasered into my brain now, but I will say it's just much more restrained than I maybe expected. And maybe I wanted it to feel like a little bit more like, I don't know. I liked it, but it's not, I don't want to say underwhelming because it's not that I was underwhelmed. It's just that I expected it to go in a different direction maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a much quieter book than anything else on the list, I think. And it's tackling a big topic. I mean, all of these tackle very different big topics. It's tackling climate change and all of that, but it does it in a much more subtle way. All the other books are a little bit more in your face with it. And I mean that in the big, as the biggest compliment. And the ending got a little bit away from me, I think, in A Children's Bible. It became a little bit like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Yeah. And I was like, well, that didn't quite vibe for me. I think it's brilliant for a lot of things, and I've talked about it a ton.
Yeah.
So
I think in my review, I also said that the ending did feel a little frayed to me in some ways, but overall, it's one of those where I enjoyed it overall, but I had some minor qualms.
Yeah, no, and I think you don't leave that book not knowing she's a great writer. She's a great writer. Yeah. So but I was surprised when I compared that to, say, The Great Offshore Grounds. I didn't have the same emotional response to it. So that's sort of maybe that one where I was like, oh, I would have switched them out. So yeah. Well, last on the list is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. And I struggle to explain this book as well, because when I think about reading it, I really think about its commentary on racial stereotypes for Asian men and women in America and in film, and how he sort of has that discussion. So I lose the plot a little bit. But what do you remember about it, and what sticks out to you?
I mean, I feel like that's kind of like, I feel like that's what I remember about it. I mean, I don't know if like the plot, I know that it's about like a man who's trying to get this one role.
Yeah, Kung Fu Man.
Yes, and it's kind of him navigating Hollywood's like stereotypical like whatever like through that. I'm clearly very inarticulate. It's fine. But that is also what I remember. And but I honestly though, I don't even know. While I thought it was the storyline was interesting from what I remember of it, I also feel like that wasn't what he was probably as concerned about as much as he was form. Because I do feel like he's a formalist above everything else.
Yes. This book was a lot of style. And I think in doing so, he tackles a topic which I think he does amazingly well. He brings out stereotypes in the Asian community to the forefront, and it's very clever and very well thought out. I do think the plot sort of falls to the wayside of it, but it's one of those books that I finished thinking, oh, I'm okay, but I don't stop thinking about what he had to say. And I think that in my mind is sort of a powerful note on why to read it. It's because he will make you think about things differently.
Well, I think just in general, like a lot of the books on this year's, even the whole long list, I think some of them for me were like those songs you listen to, and at first you're like, I don't know. And then like as time goes on, you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, and I felt like most of these books, and were books that when I finished them, I wanted to talk to someone about them. You know, sometimes you can read a book and you're just like sort of in your own headspace about it. But all of these books had some sort of turn or twist or political message or, you know, family message. And you were like, oh, I have to talk about with someone with that, which I liked. They were just more maybe reader friendly or discussion friendly, maybe is a better word for it. So yeah, it's a very interesting list.
It is. Yeah, like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, like I don't even know really what to think of the list as a whole, because it's so unexpected, even from what I originally thought was going to be on the long list. Like, half of these books I don't even know if would have been on my radar otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So that's your short list right there, y'all. So you can see it right there. We're going to put Hunter on the spot. We're going to ask him, which book do you want to win of the short list? And which book do you think will win?
I think the books, it's for me, it's between two that I would like to win, which is it's The Secret Lives of Church Ladies and Leave the World Behind. It's a tough tie between those two. But I think that Leave the World Behind, to me, seems like the front runner.
Okay, good. Do you think that there's a dark horse to steal it all?
Oh yeah, I literally forgot about Shuggie Bain. I guess that like Shuggie Bain would be the one to take the prize if like, yeah.
I agree. I do. So for me, I think Leave the World Behind is the one that resonates the most. I also think it's the most timely of all of the narratives. And I think that has a point to it. I do think maybe just, you know, the book as the rock rolling down the hill with all the momentum could be Shuggie Bain. But I do think the National Book Award often tries to stay away from the juggernauts that are getting other attention. I think it's really interesting that the Booker is coming after, because I feel like if Shuggie Bain wins the Booker, there would be no way it would win the National Book Award. But my dark horse is Interior Chinatown. I think that book says something. It's by an author who won one of the 5 under 35 awards a couple of years ago. It's different. It's stylistically different. It's point of view different. So that's sort of my dark horse. That's the one I'm sort of thinking maybe that one will come out of the dark. But I do think it's between Shuggie Bain and Leave the World Behind to actually win the prize.
I don't even know if I would be mad if any of them won, honestly.
Me either.
Yeah.
Me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're all books worth reading, and I think they're all books that people should pick up if they haven't already. So, yeah, it will be interesting. You know, I'll watch it live the first time it's been virtual. So that will be super exciting. I'm actually really rooting for the Undocumented Americans in the nonfiction category as well. I don't read all the nonfiction, but I read that one. I read the autobiography of Carson McCullers, and I loved both of those. So I would be so happy if one of them won. So, Yeah.
I actually I reread The Undocumented Americans for the second time this year, and it was even better on a reread. And I hope more people will pick it up.
Yeah, I do too, because I felt bad. The author was talking on Twitter how it just wasn't getting the press that she wanted it to get when she put it out. And then thank goodness it got on the long list and the short list, because it's one of those books that I think a lot of people would learn a lot from.
Yeah. I like, not to be like shady, but I think if a lot of people picked it up, I think they would learn what they think they learned from American Dirt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. That is true in a lot of ways. Well, and it will probably set a lot of people back on what they think they know about undocumented Americans. I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's my hope in the nonfiction category. Let me ask you as well. We'll wrap up with a question. What's a book that you've read recently that you just can't get out of your head that you want everyone to read?
Oh, Memorial.
Oh, I happen to be reading Memorial right now. Why did you love it so much?
Listen, that's another one that I read in one sitting. I thought it was, I'm gonna start crying. Like, it's just one of those books that I thought was so, the characters were great. I love the writing, because I thought it was like, it's one of those books that I feel like it says a lot in like, in the, without, what is it, subtext, I guess. Like, it never like says anything straight out, and I always like books like that. And I don't know, listen, like, any type of like gay men romance, anything, I can't even talk about it. It's just too good. I don't know. It's just good, and read it. That's all I got to say about it.
I know it. I have already had my eyes sort of well with tears a couple of times. And it's about family, and it's about gay relationships, and it's about dealing with who you are. And it's pretty powerful. I can't wait to finish it. So
I'm excited.
Well, I'm going to make sure that this one, I'm sure maybe you have a copy. I'm not sure, but you should have one. Have you read The Office of Historical Corrections by Danielle?
I've only read the first story, but I have it on my bedside table underneath like 4 other books that I'm reading. I do have it. I do.
I will tell you right now, Hunter, it's probably my favorite short story collection of all time.
Okay.
It's so good. And it just like takes turns, and I was like gasping and heart-wrenched at times. It's so good. So
I'll finish it soon so we can discuss.
Yes. Well, Hunter, I have to say thank you for being on my channel again. I know everyone will be so excited.
Well, yeah, like I said, thanks for having me. This is always so fun. Like,
it is. Well, we'll have to think of another reason to bring you back, and we'll have another video in the future. So as always, everyone, thank you very much for coming. If you are new to my channel, I can't do this without you. If you are here for the first time because Hunter brings you here, subscribe, but make sure that you support Hunter, because he's fantastic. And until next time, we both wish you happy reading. Talk to you guys later. Bye.